January 2021, Brianna and I went to a meeting at Northeast Kingdom Mental Health Services. As a result, after that meeting, it ended up that Kevin was allowed to abuse Brianna and my grandson, as well as me. He was writing false reports and making false statements to the Vermont State Police about me. He petitioned the court for a protection from abuse order and harassment against me. But it was dropped the day that I received a full petition restraining order against him for the false reports and statements made by him, written by him, accepted by Vermont State Police, and recommended prosecution by the state's attorney, Vincent Aluzzi. Same perpetrators, violation of rights, change of venue, conflict of interest, everything that should apply has been denied. And with that being said, I recorded the Zoom hearing with Guildhall, Vermont court judge. I told the whole story, what Kevin Bickford did to me, and I have the right to speak about my abuser. Because I'm not accusing, I'm making it known I was abused. I was abused by Jeffrey Noyce when he came up to me across from the Dollar General in Island Pond, Vermont, and told me, he went out of his way by saying, "Hey, Kim, you got a minute?" He had been walking to the left, going across to the cruiser that he drives. But you see, instead, he backtracked and came to the right, crossed the road, came right up against me. Now, mind you, this is during the COVID when everybody was supposed to wear a mask or stay 6 feet distance, right? Well, he violated my rights, first of all, by mean mugging me, intimidating tactics, okay? And came up to me, fumbling with his right hand in his pocket like he was going to pull out a gun or something, okay? And maybe he was just nervous because he knew he was in the spotlight. But you see, all his crony buddies around are trying to hide and aid and abet in that situation, because I made everybody know, and I even put it on record and shared it to YouTube, which that YouTube, over 900 videos, got deleted. So did the account. And that was audio recordings of police interrogation and statement to the sex trafficking officers about these cases I'm telling you about. So as a result, I get a restraining order. The landlord had already told me on April 1st that he needed me to take my daughter and my grandson and get out of there. He didn't care. It had to be in the middle of the night, but get out of there because there were people hating on us that he had no reason to believe they would, and he couldn't understand how and why these people. But he never said who. Okay? Well, I already know who. You don't have to tell me because I've been battling it all these years like I've been telling you. So I made it known to the judge when I requested a full-time restraining order against my perpetrator that was allowed to stay in the building, okay? Why was he allowed to stay in the building? He wasn't on the lease, but General Assistance was paying him to be there. That means he was an informant, right? Because he was writing all these false reports, and the judge even said, audio recorded, shared to YouTube, that they were false reports against me, which led to a false arrest, false search warrant, illegal search and surveillance of my home, illegal search warrant in place. They didn't search for anything though. And then they gave me the wrong charge. I went to court. They told me I didn't have to. That's all on audio record. They told me I didn't have to be in court. They told me to call the WebEx number. I'm a smart cookie. I'm a smart girl. And I am a lady. And I have honesty and integrity. So therefore, I took that right to the courthouse. And lo and behold, what happened? I was supposed to be there just like I thought. It was a blizzard day. Nobody to answer their doors, nothing. But you know what? One old man did. And he made sure he stayed right there for me. And I want to thank you for that, Woody. Woody Sheltra from Island Pond. You're a strong man. You were my hero that day. Thank you, sir. Because you know the truth of all of it. See, his little crony buddy there, Peter Cerrone, he happens to be what I believe to be an informant too, because you see, he kept on coming over and he tried to get my daughter to say who had this or that. My daughter wasn't into that bullshit. In fact, she told him to get out as well as I did. Tell him don't ever fucking come back again. Try to plant shit in our house or whatever. I don't trust any of them because of what they've done to me and to Bree. So what happens next? In May, now mind you, February, in March. We're getting return to sender mail. Then our mail's not coming to us. Janine from the United States Postal Service in Island Pond, Vermont, verified that our mail has been tampered with. She hadn't been receiving mail because there was no mail coming in. We weren't getting any mail. So where was our mail going from the federal courts? Where was all of our mail going? Who was receiving all of our mail? Okay. Michael Hatton said that I had to go through, and he's the landlord of the slum horde. Okay. He told me I had to go through the police. Well, of course, the police wouldn't request them because why? They're involved, right? In hiding and in aiding and abetting and organizing conspired crimes against me and my daughter. Then Mental Health Services tells Brianna in DCF2 that if she doesn't start taking these mental health pills, then they're going to start fucking with my grandson. Well, and that's just what they did. So they waited until I left. They thought I was gone. But they knew I wasn't gone because the landlord knew that I was away, and that's all on audio record, and that's shared in statements, okay? And the judge already heard it. Michael Hatton put a notice on my door saying that if I hadn't been there by the following day, which I was there on Tuesday, but if I hadn't been there the following day on Wednesday, I was going to be locked out of my apartment. So I called Cheyenne, his wife, up, and I've got her on audio record telling her, oh, look, your husband's not my fucking husband. I don't have to tell him shit, okay? I had a leased apartment until October of 22. I'm sorry, until 21. And what happened to that lease, Michael Hatton? Why did I get locked out of my apartment in June? Right after I left, which was the day before, well, it was Thursday of Memorial Weekend 2021. I went back up to Maine, to my family's property, where I was preparing to move to. And as I pulled in the driveway, my uncle rides by, and Brianna's calling, and Brianna's telling me that the police are there kicking in her door and taking my grandson with a search warrant. I advised I wouldn't allow you to go without me being with you, but if it was me, I'd make sure that they know you're not taking my son unless you take me. Well, I heard it all because I was on the phone with Brianna. She called me. And they took my grandson, and then they charged my daughter with felons. Look up Brianna Knights, Island Pond, Vermont. She was charged with felon charges for trying to protect her son, which is impeding officers in a DHS case. Well, the fact is, Kevin had abused my daughter. It's all on audio record and video surveillance and shared to YouTube. Look it up. Look through my videos. You're going to find it. Why was he allowed to do that? My grandson ended up with a bump on his head. And they took my grandson from my daughter, just like they took my kids from me under false pretenses. And now Kevin, the abuser, I have a restraining order on him. I have been still trying to file the charges, which they refuse to accept and go forward with, even though the judge has found him to be guilty and restored a restraining order for 1 year for me against him. The police in the state of Vermont refuse to press charges. So I am requesting that the FBI investigate the Vermont State Police, Kevin Bickford, in the wrongdoings of Vincent Aluzzi and Attorney General T.J. Donovan, because at this point there's still been requests, as well as through the court-appointed attorney, Laura Wilson. She has been requested by myself and by Brianna to take out the frivolous no contact order that they still have in place between and against myself and my daughter, stating that we can't have any contact with each other. Why is that? Aiding and abetting, trying to silence, and they tried to silence my daughter by destroying her, by illegally putting her on an involuntary medical hold, shooting her up with drugs. She was so bad off when she was let out of a hospital in August. I have audio recordings. I have very creditable witnesses, especially from the United States Postal Service worker, Janine, who brought my daughter from Island Pond, Vermont, where she was so distraught, ill, and emotionally fucked up, mentally distraught, didn't know her own fucking name or whereabouts, couldn't even get a comb through her hair, and that was straight from Rutland Regional Medical Center psych ward. Molly Gray, I bring to your attention, you have already been contacted about this and you did nothing about it. And in fact, you were a visitor at that hospital during the time my daughter was there, so you're well aware of it. I request that you be under investigation too. Investigate the state of Vermont for what they've done. Rutland Regional Medical Center, Department of Human Services, Children and Family Services, Mental Health Services, Northeast Kingdom, everything. Michael Hatton, the Bickfords, the Morris, the Yates, all of them. I want the whole town of Island Pond, Jeffrey Noyes, his wife, Essex County Sheriff's Department, all of them. Every single one of them that have been involved. I have copies of all the reports. I have all the copies of the request. And now I'm going to include, I want in requesting that every single judge involved, I want to know why they have denied my request for restraining orders. I want them under investigation. I am a resident and I am a citizen and a natural born citizen to the state of Vermont. There's 2 constitutional rights in place here. More than 2 constitutional rights, but there are 2 constitutions, the United States and the state of Vermont. They've been violated. My rights have been violated in every single way, A to Z, and back again, by all Vermont politicians and organizations, state employees and organizations. I request a full investigation by the FBI into Burlington Federal Court employees and staff, clerk of the Department of Justice, Jeffrey Eaton, Judge Crawford, and this is not frivolous act. These are not frivolous statements, and I attest as well as I affirm to all being with honesty and integrity, truth, and full belief, to the best of my recollection, affirmed.